Now, the gentleman from Washington, Mr. Baumgartner, is recognized for his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a privilege to be here on this Natural Resources Subcommittee on oversight investigations examining the Trump administration's work combating transnational cartels in Indian country. I appreciate the opportunity to wave onto the committee today. Your testimony was extremely important. I hope there are many members of the media listening and reporting on what is going on in Indian country with this scourge of drugs, particularly fentanyl. I care about this issue not just because I have multiple reservations in my district in Eastern Washington, but also on a personal level. I grew up very near the Nez Perce Reservation and played basketball for 2 years as a youngster out of Lapway and have connections there. But regardless whether you have connections in your country or not, every American should care about this issue. As I said, I represent much of Eastern Washington, from Colville in the Canadian border, Colville area and Canadian border in the north, down to the Walla Walla area, Oregon in the south. Like many communities, we are blue-collar, hardworking folks, people trying to do the right thing. Before I was elected to Congress, I took a trip down to the southern border during the Biden administration. While I was there, I saw illegal immigrants brazenly entering the country. The lawlessness was staggering. Drug cartels are a scourge in our country and our communities. Despite what critics of tough immigration enforcement might argue, these thugs are a real threat that often live uncomfortably close to home. I have a few examples of how these notorious criminal organizations like Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the 18th Street Gang often target federal lands in Indian country to hide and sell drugs in our communities. Just last week, a Mexican native drug trafficker was sentenced to 19 years in prison for an arrest where federal, state, local, and tribal law enforcement officers seized 161,000 fentanyl pills, approximately 80 pounds of methamphetamine, approximately 6 pounds of heroin, more than 2 pounds of cocaine, and 12 firearms. Investigators believe these drugs and firearms were destined for the Colville Indian Reservation, partially in my district and nearby. This thug was a high-ranking member of a trafficking group that had infiltrated parts of Washington, Montana, and nearby tribal reservations. This case involved one of the largest drug seizures ever in rural Washington, and this is not an isolated incident. In Yakima, Washington, just this month, 13 individuals, at least some of whom were criminal aliens, were charged or pleaded guilty to offenses related to trafficking fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, and marijuana on the Yakima Nation Reservation in the state. The Joint DEA and Bureau of Indian Affairs operation, which concluded in June 2025, seized over 7,000 pounds of marijuana, over 300 pounds of methamphetamine, nearly 25 pounds of cocaine, 7 pounds of fentanyl powder, nearly 5,000 fentanyl-laced pills, over $22,000 in drug proceeds, and 12 firearms. Now, I don't know about any of you here today, but out of these statistics, I say this is a public emergency. Let me be clear, we're at war with drugs lords and traffickers in our communities. To criminals and drug traffickers, you need to be arrested. You will be arrested, prosecuted, and held accountable. I will do everything, and I know members of Congress will do that, make sure of it. To people walking back home, if you see something, if you say something, I am proud that the One Big Beautiful Bill Act secured a historic $165 billion in funding for border security, including completion of the southern border wall, hiring and equipping thousands of additional Customs and Border Protection officers and Immigration and Customs Enforcement personnel, launching and operating new border surveillance technologies, expanding criminal alien detention capacity, and increasing coordination among federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. This legislative victory builds upon other key congressional achievements during the 119th Congress, such as passing the Lake and Riley Act, which mandates federal detention of illegal immigrants charged with theft, burglary, assaulting a law enforcement officer, any crime, death, or serious bodily injury. The law is named in honor of a Georgia nursing student who was murdered by an illegal alien previously arrested and paroled in the United States. I also support legislation like H.R. 3773, the PROTECT Act, to empower local law enforcement on Indian reservation to arrest and imprison these thugs. There's a lot more work to do, but I appreciate the work of this committee and those that called in to testify today. And I just want to say on a personal level, your concerns are being heard, and I very much appreciate the work you're doing to unite this Congress, both Republicans and Democrats together to deal with this issue. Thank you very much, and I yield back, Mr. Chair.
I think